What is up, guys? Come on, 1992, back with another Marvel's Avengers video. This here is going to be the tank build for Miss Marvel that you can use going forward with the Omega threat level and the new Claw Ray coming soon. I said I was going to do this video about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so here it is. We're going to go over the champ points, mastery, specialty, and even gear. So, the most important thing you're going to need is the fortification boost, along with the maximum willpower. The fortification boost is your straight defense, and your defense is your damage reduction. So the damage coming into you is going to be lessened. However, if you don't have high willpower or high max HP, you're not going to be reducing much damage going in because you don't have that much max HP to survive the one shot. So you're going to need these both together to be a very good tank. This is crucial for anybody that you're tanking with. Target these two categories first. What you should get next is willpower recovery. As a Miss Marvel main, most of you should know that when you're holding down your intrinsic button, you're going to be regenerating health, over time. As you do combos, you're going to regenerate it even more. If you have certain heroes on your team that offer willpower recovery from their support heroics, you're going to get that health back even faster. So overall, focus your defense tree before anything else. Moving on into your utility, you should, if you feel like you need to reduce elemental status damage coming in, you feel like it's too much of a problem, cryo and lightning probably being the worst things right now. The lightning damage from the super adaptoid and the cryo from certain enemies because you get hard CC'd and you have to break out of it. Graviton's pretty rough as well, honestly, unless you have graviton defense. Status resistance will help with that. I'm not sure if this applies to the lightning from the Omega threat level boss, but it's worth a shot. I mean, it's more resistance anyway. Go for it. If you're not so worried about that, however, and you have some solid gear perks like invulnerability, defense buffs, or a burst of willpower or a burst of intrinsic energy, go for your perk chance, because having your perks from your gear proc just makes your gear more worth it. Invulnerability as a tank, that should just strike everyone as a good idea. I mean, because you're taking no damage for X amount of time. A defense buff, you're going to your defense buffs are going to last longer, especially once I get into the major artifacts. So you definitely want to get as many defense buffs going. You'll be surviving a lot more one shots with those running at all times. So next, something that's honestly equally important to the perk chance, if not more, is your cooldown reduction, and that's your heroic charge rate. You want to speed up how fast you can get your heroics as soon as possible, because with Miss Marvel, her heal is a proximity that hits everybody. Usually it heals you up to your max HP, gives you a defense buff, and if you're running residual like I am on this build, they'll get an 8-second healing over time. That's super huge for you because of all the willpower that you would have stacked already in your defense category, and from your polymorph attacks that are going to be healing you as well. Your Embiggen is your taunt move as your tank, Miss Marvel. So you definitely want to be able to get into your ultimate as fast as possible. So definitely gun your heroic charge rate. You're not going to be doing much aggro pulling. In terms of the damage department, if you really want to contribute and help your team out, you should go for stun and status damage. And the reason for that is you'll check your melee score out. It's only at 1,000. That's not a lot of damage. Your ranged isn't that great, and neither is your heroic. However, when you go ahead and view your intensity stat, you have 55.5% stun damage. You might even have more, depending on what gear you're wearing. So definitely go for your status and stun damage, because that's going to be your main damage contribution as a tank. You want to stun the enemies, and from stunning the enemies, you'll be dealing the most damage you possibly can to help your teammates out. From there, if you want to grab some melee damage, go for it, or ranged or heroic. Melee is probably going to be your best friend, just how Miss Marvel functions. In the Masteries, Most of these haven't changed. You still want rapid regeneration. You still want adrenaline surge, and you want polymorphic might. This one changed, and that's because you're getting increased stun damage dealt from specific polymorph attacks. So familiarize yourself with Morningstar, Palm Strike, Whirlwind, and Seismic Slam because that's what this applies to, and it syncs up perfectly with that stun damage spec that you're going to be doing in your champion tree. More on the stuns is polymorph intensity. Increase the amount of stun damage while your polymorph is active. That's huge. You're going to be polymorphing a lot to crowd control a lot of people. So that's good right there. Then with polymorphic defense, this is good because while your polymorph is active, it's a 15% damage reduction. You definitely want this. If you feel like there's a move that you're not going to be able to dodge in time, hold down the intrinsic button and eat the hit. From there, you got another polymorphic regeneration. That's huge. Grab that. That's more sustained. The range category doesn't matter too much. As a tank, you're not really going to be using this. I'd say grab the regen pack, and the other two aren't that crucial. This one seems to have a heavier stun and staggering effect, and that's why I grab it, but I don't really use this when I'm tanking, so I'm just going to move on. For your melee, whenever you're going for takedowns, get the regen pack for sustain. That's going to be crucial. And even if you don't use it, it'll be laying on the ground for a while for you to eventually run back over and pick up. For the combat one in the middle, you want to increase your stun damage by 15%. If you notice, there's like a constant pattern of stacking stuns and getting regeneration or just anything that's like damage reduction. That's the main things you're looking for when you're speccing into tank. And then with this one, I think a lot of people might miss this because they might want to do some extra damage while they got an enemy juggled in the air, possibly. But what you should be looking for is the heroic energy mastery because this is adding on to your cooldown reduction that you already would have specced into from your champion tree. So when you're doing your light and heavy attacks, you'll be steadily gaining your support heroic back and your ultimate. And you remember your ultimate is your taunt, so you want to be constantly working towards getting that up. Same thing with your heals. In your specialty tree for your support heroic, personally, I like to have an extra healing spirit token. I used to run all three, but lately I've been pretty much enjoying the inner peace one because of the residual 8-second heal. Especially when you're a tank because you have your willpower regeneration is insane. Like it moves so much faster and covers so much more health. So you definitely want to run this. It's useful to your teammates as well. It'll give them some extra healing over time effects that they can stack with their own. It's just all around helping. But if you really wanted to go for will to fight and have 3 heals, by all means, this is very viable. I mean, it's can potentially save you from 3 wipe situations. You could also flip flop this and get the life spark. Whenever you're down, you'll be able to revive yourself, just in case. I mean, we all make mistakes. So if you were to accidentally get dropped, well, you can get back up, and that can be a game changer for raids and OLT. So personally, when I tanked with this in OLT, there wasn't a lot that he could do to knock me out. I want to upload a video of me tanking with OLT. I don't think I'll have the champion points to cover up the defense boost side because, as you can all see, I'm primarily, and anybody who's new to the channel, if you don't know by now, I'm a full melee Miss Marvel main. So that's why you don't see the defense stuff filled out yet. But soon, once I get more skill points, I'll be able to fill that out and give you a proper demonstration on how to tank. Maybe I'll have it ready in time for the claw raid, hopefully. But that'll wrap up her abilities other than obvious distraction because most of her abilities don't change. Your assault heroic doesn't really affect your tanking. Proper usage of your assault heroic is just peeling bigger enemies off of your teammates Honestly, you can still go for the single target one if you really want to do more damage. But if you want to, get like some sort of shockwave or area of effect to keep a group of enemies away from your carries, you should go for too slow. Because too slow, honestly, is going to move them around a lot more, giving your people room to work. But back over to the ultimate obvious distraction is the taunt. This is super crucial. 100% get this, or you will not be able to pull aggro. Um, I mean, to some extent, the boss will look at you at some point, but you want to get his attention whenever you want it, basically. Um, the critical attack is probably your best bet because when you're doing bosses, you're not really going to be defeating enemies to do anything with that 1 second bonus. Um, and you're probably not going to be defeating a whole bunch of people to get this heroic energy orb anyway because you're like I said, your attack damage is pretty low as a tank because that's not your priority. So might as well give yourself some extra crits so you're doing some background damage to help out the rest of the team. Moving over into the gearing, this part is super important because I see a lot of people that like to run the ring, and I have a few problems with this because the ring presents a random bounty of either regen packs, heroic orbs, or intrinsic orbs. I realize this can be useful if you get what you need. However, if you get if you get something that you don't really need for the situation, say it gives you intrinsic orbs when you really needed regen packs, or regen packs but you really needed heroic orbs, that's a problem because there's nothing consistent about this. It's giving you something, but you don't know what it's going to be. Um, Tanking typically in harder games with like raids, you need to be consistent with what it is that you're doing at all times, so you can lose control of your fight with the boss, and then he can wipe your group. So to actually make yourself fit into the role of a tank, there is an exotic artifact for that, and that's the Norn Stone of Obsidian Spirit. This is overall increasing your defense buff by 6.2%. You're getting the duration of the defense buff to increase by 4 seconds, which is huge. It's a lot of damage you can sustain in an extra 4 seconds. And when you activate it, you're going to get your entire health bar back. This to me is like game changing in sustainment. Um, because say you don't want to drop one of your support abilities because you're the only one that's low on health. Well, then you might as well click the sticks in, get your full health bar back, and then save your support heroics for when multiple teammates are down, or if you're running life spark, you need to self res. So that way you can hold on to that. This makes you the most solid and defensible tank out of all the items currently in the game. So 100% go for this. The Nornstone of Obsidian Spirit. On that slight segue, if you know anybody who's running the Void Tech Transponder or the Kimoyo band, there's currently a glitch with those, and if you use them before other people get to pop their exotic artifacts, it actually blocks them from using it, and it'll even show the Void Tech Transponder on their screen like they activated it as their artifact, which sucks because it stops Nornstone of lethal damage coming out. It stops Tactagon activates. It stops all of them. So if you know anybody running Void Tech Transponder or the Camellia Band, tell them to not, because it's going to hinder your performance. And especially as a tank, it's pretty aggravating because this is game changing in sustainment. You're getting your entire health bar back when you click the sticks, and so go for this major artifact. For your smaller artifacts, your ISOs, I like a mix of resolve and resilience because similar to what I was talking about with the champion points, resolve is your max willpower increasing, so max HP, and then resilience is the damage coming in being reduced. So having both of these, it's the best of both worlds basically. Those two build off of each other. If you have too much health, not enough defense, you still basically go down really fast. Having a lot of defense is really good, but you want to be able to sustain a good bit of punishment. So having a balance between a lot of max HP and defense is going to keep you alive a lot longer. Moving into the other pieces of gear, I got all of these pieces are from OLT, I believe, except for this one. I'm not sure. I think this one came from one of the priorities since they're dropping like every day now. Um, with the tank gear, I focused anything that was giving me a high amount of resolve or resilience at the time. There wasn't too many perks that I was drawn to with this piece of gear in particular. Um, this one has the Jarvis Barrier, which is huge. It's a huge perk to look out for as a tank. It's an overshield if you're not familiar with it. I believe it's scaled to your willpower. Yeah, 20% of your max willpower. So as a tank, you have a pretty insane number of willpower. Let's see where we at here. We have 25k. So, and that's not even the high, guys. I don't have champion points yet. So imagine somebody who filled out that whole tree. They'd probably have a shield for like 10k, maybe 15k or 8k. It's still a lot of damage to be not taking at all. I mean, it's practically like being invulnerable. So if you're able to get a roll on an invulnerable piece of gear on top of having a Jarvis barrier, that's even better. Cryo damage is pretty crucial because as as a Miss Marvel tank main, you're not going to have many ways to pull aggro. You actually only have your ultimate, which kind of sucks. However, cryo can bail you out of situations where it's like, oh, she can't hold the boss. Um, Naturally, you want to be applying it as much as possible, so you'll be doing that through your melees. Look for a cryo roll piece of gear because when you're spamming out your heavy attacks and your melee attacks, you'll be slowing the boss, making it so much more difficult for him to get off those one-shot animations. I just dropped a video yesterday of using a cryo DPS piece, and even then, it's still supporting the team very hard because the him throwing the shield or the hammer animation is actually more visible now. Same thing with his unibeam and even the stomp that he does in AoE formation. This actually stops the boss from being able to run away fast. Like every single animation is slowed. It helps you stick to them and really build up those combos so you can keep your heroic energy on the rise so you can keep tanking like you need to. So that's the main way I focused my gear and build for Miss Marvel tank. I hope this was helpful. If there's any questions on perhaps like perks you should be looking out for, what other elements could you potentially run, drop a comment down below. Message me on PlayStation, Kamal 1992, KAMAU 1992. This is my tank build. I'll be running this for sure in the claw raid after I DPS it first. Um, I look forward to getting extra champion points to fill that in so you can see properly how much health you're going to have, because I'd like to honestly see what is the max HP that you can have in this game. I'm betting you could probably go to well over 30,000. I mean, just based off of how Melee has been going with fully committing to it. But if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it, and I will catch you all in the next one.